All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship Final, Galway 2-18 Limerick 3-16 after 5 agonising final defeats, 45 years of hurt and a hellish roller coaster ride in the excruciating last moments of yesterday's All-Ireland decider. Now we can finally believe the hype. Whisper it no longer, shout from the rooftops if you want, even John Kiely can't put this jack back in the box. Limerick are kings of Ireland, kings of the world, and boy do they deserve it. But they didn't have put their long-suffering supporters through the mill before getting there. When super sub Shane Dowling blasted them into an 8-point lead with only 2 minutes of the 70 remaining, the men, women and children in green could have been tempted to breathe a sigh of relief. Many of them, though, are around long enough to know better than that. Plenty at Croke Park yesterday were old enough to remember the ecstasy of 73, with the agony ever since fresher still. And when Niall Burke fired over the bar in the 7th minute of added time, it looked like another tale of woe, one more gut-wrenching than any to have gone before, was unfolding before their eyes somehow. Despite being a distant second best for much of the game, Galway only trailed by a point with time still on the clock. A force-of-nature performance from Joe Canning in the dying stages, topped off with a thudding free that threatened to rip the net from the goal, looked set to bury memories of a first half in which he barely featured at all, the Portumna powerhouse dragging his underperforming teammates up by the bootstraps. And it was on his broad shoulders that Galway's hopes rested in the final play of the game as he stood over a free from all of 90+ meters under the Hogan stand. The flagging Limerick players could only watch and pray. Surely he can't. If anyone can, Canning can. But even Joe is human. Late sub Tom Condon, the man to emerge from the pack as the free dropped short, taking off towards the Hogan stand like a greyhound as referee James Owens pressed the whistle to his lips. What a difference a decade makes. 10 years ago, a Limerick side containing no shortage of men with miles of road behind them froze on the greatest stage of all. Ollie Moran recalled during the week how 6 of their number, himself included, had actually turned the wrong way coming out of the tunnel, despite weeks of meticulous preparation. The wall of noise hit them, the smells and the sounds of All-Ireland final day, and all of a sudden their senses were clogged. 2 early goals for Kilkenny and their dream was dead. Many feared the same could happen yesterday. After all, Galway had developed a habit through the summer of lightning fast starts, and the chance to unsettle such a young Limerick side early doors surely formed part of Michael Donohue's pre-match thinking. But whether it was Kiely's very public bid to kill the hype or not, the class of 2018 weren't cowed by the occasion this time around. Instead it was the Treatymen who did the unsettling, flying headfirst into Galway and forcing turnovers as the tribe flailed and fumbled in the face of it all. Limerick already led by a point when the superb Kyle Hayes cut out an Adrian Tuohy pass and fired over. With Aaron Dillon running off his left shoulder, there had also been a chance to inflict further early damage. More would come. Midfield duo Cian Lynch and Darragh O'Donovan started strongly, while the clever movement of the experienced Graham Mulcahy and Seamus Flanagan threatened to give Tuohy and John Hanbury twisted blood. At the other end, there was no sign of the anticipated electric start from Galway, with surprisingly little ball going in the direction of the towering Johnny Glynn, and, even when it did, Michael Casey, with a little help from his friends, was well able for it. Conor Cooney, Conor Whelan, Cathal Mannion, even Canning, they were barely involved as Limerick seized control. You always felt that Kiely's men were going to need goals if they were really going to rock Galway, though, and the first of 3 duly arrived 16 minutes in to put them 1-5-0-6 ahead. Flanagan drifted out to get on the ball, found Hayes in space on the left of the square, and he arrowed an inch-perfect pass into the path of Mulcahy who, despite losing possession, somehow bundled the sly Othar to the net. Minutes later Limerick intercepted another loose ball, this time a risky Padraig Mannion pass towards a static Canning, and captain Declan Hannon, so impressive in the first half, rampaged forward to score the first of 2 quick-fire points. Donahue tried moving Glynn out around half forward, but still they couldn't get him involved enough. For all their control though, Limerick still shot 11 wides in the first half and might have felt disappointed to be only 4 ahead at the break, 1-10 to 0-9. They pressed home their advantage upon the resumption, Hayes with 3 classy scores, and led by 10 minutes in. Another goal turned the screw further. Gearoid McInerney caught in possession by Tom Morrissey, who bounded forward, cut inside and slotted past James Scale. When Limerick introduced Shane Dowling from the bench a minute, you almost started to fear for Galway. Scale prevented a third goal with a brave block on Flanagan that led to the Galway keeper being replaced, but when Dowling rattled the net to leave 8 in it heading towards added time, the gig looked all but up for the tribesmen. It came about from another mistake, this time Tuohy caught dilly-dallying and Peter Casey fed his fellow sub, who was never going to miss, with the goal at his mercy. But Galway weren't reigning All-Ireland champions for nothing, and Canning certainly isn't the star of a generation without justification either. Whalen offered a glimmer of light 4 minutes into the 8 allocated for added time when he made no mistake after a looping pass from Jason Flynn was broken down by Glynn. A minute later, an almighty hush descended on Croke Park as Canning stood over at 20 meters free after Nicky Quaid touched the Sliothar with his hand outside the small square. If this went in, we were down to a 2-point game. Come at the hour, come at the man, as Canning sent a bullet beyond the Limerick keeper. Even the big screen slow-mos had trouble keeping up. Was 45 years of hurt about to extend into a 46? From a done deal 7 minutes previous, suddenly all bets were off, especially when Niall Burke cut the deficit to 1. Mulcahy and Canning traded scores before Joe was afforded one last chance to pull it out of the fire. It would have been tremendously harsh on Limerick, but there's no room for sentiment when the stakes are so high. Yet, so late in the day, even the great man couldn't summon the kind of monster effort required, the ball dropping short as Limerick players fell to their knees while some just ran because their bodies didn't know what else to do. Shades of green on the field of dreams, it was a fitting fairy tale end to a championship summer few will ever forget. Galway, J. Scale, a Tuohy, D. Burke, J. Hanbury, P. Mannion, 0-1, G. McInerney, a Hart, J. Cohen, D. Burke, 0-3, J. Cooney, 0-3, J. Canning, 1-10, 1-5 Freeze, 0-2 65s, J. Glynn, C. Whalen, 1-0, C. Cooney, C. Mannion. Subs, and Burke, 0-1 for C. Mannion, 45, P. Killeen for Hanbury, 57, J. Flynn for C. Cooney, 58, F. Flannery for Scale, 61, Yellow cards, G. McInerney, 35-3, P. Mannion, 43, Limerick, and Quaid, S. Finn, M. Casey, R. English, D. Burns, 0-1, D. Hannon, 0-2, D. Morrissey, D. O'Donovan, 0-1, Cian Lynch, 0-1, G. Hegarty, K. Hayes, 0-4, T. Morrissey, 1-1, A. Gillen, 0-3, 0-1 Free, S. Flanagan, 0-1, G. Mulcahy, 1-2. Subs, R. McCarthy for Casey, 48, S. Dowling, 1-0 for Hegarty, 56, P. Casey for Flanagan, 64, W. O'Donoghue for O'Donovan, 67, T. Condon for English, 67. Yellow cards, G. Hegarty, 30, A. Gillen, 42, Referee, J. Owens, Wexford, at 82,300.